Hello class, welcome to management here at Cal-Southern. Very excited to have you here today. My goal here is to kind of just go through information for the week. Since we do have multiple chapters due every week, I'm going to pick one chapter and provide a lecture for that. And then just kind of go through the slides here and see what we can find and see if that provides any benefit for you. Of course, if you do have any questions at all during the term, please let me know. I'm going to be here to help you out. All right, so let's get started here. Again, this week we're going to go over chapter 1, and it's management today. So, planning ahead, some key takeaways. These are kind of the objectives. What we're going to be doing is you're going to be able to recognize the challenges of working in a new economy. You're going to be able to describe the nature of organizations as work settings, discuss what it means to be a manager, discuss the function, roles, and activities of managers, and identify essential managerial skills, and discuss how they are learned. It's a very foundational chapter, and we're going to be digging deeper as we continue through this course. But again, just excited to be here to be able to give this information to you. So let's take a look here. In the chapter 1 outline here, it's divided into different areas. So we have working today, and we have organizations, managers, the manager process, learning how to manage, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, and I'm going to go pretty quickly through these for the sake of time because there are 40 slides. Okay, and not all of them are going to be relevant, and some of these and some of this information should be reviewed from taking your undergraduate or your master's degree programs, whether you've taken an MBA or master's in management, or even a BSBA, which is a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration. A lot of this should be relatively reviewed. If not, definitely pay close attention. Make sure you're reading through these chapters in great detail so that you are up to par within this DBA program. So let's get started. So working today. So what we need to do is we need to think about the talent in today's economy. Think about how people are lining up for different jobs. How are they selected? How do they become? How do we take that talent and transform it into human capital? So your people and their talents are the ultimate foundations of organizational performance. We have intellectual capital, and it's the collective brain power and shared knowledge of the workforce. And then we have a knowledge worker's mind is a critical asset to employers and adds to the intellectual capital of the organization. So again, you want to make sure that we're hiring the right people, and and that's something that'll get touched on in human resources, and even maybe a little bit in this class when we go through our human resources unit chapter. But again, we want to make sure that we are hiring smart. We're hiring the right people, and we continue to grow as an organization. So here's an intellectual capital equation. It's going to be commitment times competency equals intellectual capital. Pretty self-explanatory on that equation. Okay, technology. Technology IQ is the person's ability to use technology to stay informed. In today's environment, global environment, technology is an expectation. When before, you might know something about technology, and if you didn't, you were trained on it. Now, going into the workforce, you need to understand technology, and you got to know it's going to be it's going to be enforced. So, checking inventory, making sales transactions, ordering supplies, depending on the database you're using, Salesforce, something like that. Also, in the global economy here, we're going to have telecommuting, um, where people are working from home a lot more these days, working remote, um, as organizations become leaner and leaner. And then we have virtual teams as well. Again, global thinking. You might have a virtual team in Japan, you might have a virtual team in Brazil, and you need to work together on that with them. And then just pop in there, globalization. Again, I just touched base on that with the virtual teams a little bit, but it's the worldwide interdependence of resource flow. Product markets and business competition that characterizes our economy. Job migration occurs when firms shift jobs from one country to another. So think about it. Do you think that our economy, our global economy, is globalized? Again, it's with technology and how much we are working in the virtual world these days. Globalization is making our world a lot smaller. Technology is making our world a lot smaller. So again, like I stated prior, we're going to be working with different people all around the world, and that's the fun part, right? You get to work with people that you never thought you would ever be able to work with cultures you never thought you would be able to experience, and it's a pretty cool experience. And then that takes us into, obviously, ethics, code and moral principles that set standards of conduct of what's good and right in one's behavior. We need to hold a moral compass, and provide business ethics, code of conduct, understand what's right in today's working environment. Ethical expectations for modern businesses. Obviously, we're going to have integrity and ethical leadership at all levels, social responsibility and sustainability. What does happen if there is, at a higher level, that there is an integrity and ethical leadership? What's going to happen to that organization? There's a lot that can happen. Social responsibility here as well. Looking at corporate social responsibility, how organizations are utilizing green technology, how organizations are giving back, utilizing PR, providing charity and philanthropy, and then sustainability as well. Now, within the working today, organizations, we're going to have the three areas: financial performance, ethical performance, and sustainability, which all comes to corporate governance. Now, corporate governance is the board of directors holds top management responsible for organizational performance. Back. So think about the board of directors of your organization, right? They are not associated with they're usually shareholders of the organization, but they're not necessarily employees of the organization. They work in conjunction with the CEO to make the best possible decisions for the organization in order to provide the best feedback or the best return on investments and growth, right? Diversity in the workforce. Now, this is a hot ticket button these days, and it's actually been a hot ticket button for a long time, but more and more these days as we are becoming more of a smaller globalized society. And workforce diversity here reflects differences with respect to gender, age, race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, and able-bodiedness. A diverse and multicultural workforce both challenges and offers opportunities for employers. So think about what are some opportunities that you can utilize in a diverse workforce. There's always going to be excellence. It can improve organizational culture. It can provide new ways of innovation. What are some challenges? People might not like to work with diverse people. There's the ignorant factor. Religious concerns. A lot of different areas that can affect diversity, and there's whole classes based on just diversity alone. So we're not going to get into it too much. But again, just realize that it's an important hot-ticket button in working today as a manager, because you're going to have people on your team, if you don't already, from other cultures and other ethnicities, and you need to be able to work with them and provide fair work environment for them. How diversity bias can occur in the workplace. There's prejudice, discrimination, class ceiling. We've kind of talked about that. Working today here again, different types of workers. We're going to have permanent full-time workers. We're going to have the temporary part-time workers and freelance or contract workers. These are careers and connections. Organizations consist of the three types of workers, sometimes referred to as the shamrock organization. If you think about your organization, you probably have your full-time workers. You might have temp or part-times, depending on your organization. And, you might also have some freelance or contract workers. You might be communication specialists, marketing specialists, stuff like that. You might not realize that they're there, but they're there. Consultants. And, so you want to take a snapshot, look at your organization. Now, free agent economy. What does that mean? So that means people change jobs more often, and many work on flexible contracts. So think about the society we're in. The days of the 9-to-5 authoritative boss, are gone, right? People have this psychological contract that they think that they're going to come into a position and be able to work flexible hours, and maybe work remote or telecommute. They have what they think that based on their psychological contract, they have an idea of what they want and their expectations of what they should be getting within an organization. If they don't get it, guess what? They hop and change teams. They move to an organization that might more fit their psychological contract or expectations. Self-management here refers to the ability to understand oneself, exercise initiative, and accept responsibilities, and to learn from experience. So again, how do you self-manage? Again, think about how the old organizations used to be. You used to work on the ladder. When it was time for your promotion, you would take training, be given a manual, go through it with your leader, and take a test maybe, or and then you would be promoted. Nowadays, it's up to the employee, subordinate, follower, whatever you want to call them, to really manage themselves, to really take that learning to the next level. So with you being in the DBA program, you're kind of self-managing yourself by taking yourself to the next level. Unless your organization is recommending that you do it and they're paying for it, then that's great. But chances are you're doing this on your own accord because you want to get to that next level in your organization, and this is a great way to do it and to get that additional knowledge. Now, what are organizations? Again, organizations are a collection of people working together to achieve a common purpose. Organizations provide useful goods and/or services that return value to society and satisfy customer needs. Okay, it's very, very foundational. We all know what an organization is. But let's take a look here at organizations as open systems interact with their environment. So organizations are open systems, meaning that they do interact with the outside environment, outside vendors. They have, different government associations. They have, they have different vendors that they might work with. Um, they're affected by outside events, whereas a closed system, everything is very closed out, closed in. So let's take a look here at the environment and supplies. Here, looking all the way to the left, people, money, materials, technology, and information. The organization creates that value, and then the environment consumes the products and goods. Again, we're providing something for the environment, and that's an open system. Organizational performance. Again, organizations need to create value. Value creation is a very important notion for organizations. If your organization doesn't create value, what would be the point? Value is created when organizations' operations add value to the original cost of resource inputs. When value creation occurs, businesses earn profit. Nonprofit organizations add wealth to society. So think of what your value creation is at your organization. What do you do? For Cal Southern, it's education, right? The better we educate our students, the better they will be able to work within the community, work within their organization. We provide value to the students, and in return, the students provide value to the organization. It's kind of a win-win. Organizations here. Organization performance. Again, we have productivity here. And productivity is the overall measure of quantity and quality of work performance with resource utilization taken into account. Performance effectiveness, the middle here, is an output measure of tasks, goals, or accomplishments, and performance efficiency is the input measure of the resource costs associated with goal accomplishment. Again, I'm not going to waste too much time on this. This is pretty self-explanatory, as we're being very foundational here. Productivity and the dimensions of organizational performance. Take a look at this chart. It's, you have your goal attainment here on the left. You have your resource utilization on the bottom. And we can see, effective and efficient, high productivity. Goals were achieved, no wasted resources up here in the top right quadrant. That would be the best, right? With the worst being the opposite of that quadrant down in the bottom left, neither effective nor efficient. Goals not achieved, resources wasted. If you were looking at the productivity of performance and you were weighing employees, on this when you're doing your appraisals or performance management, of course, the top right, the green, would mean they're hitting on a scale of 1 to 5. Obviously no one's ever going to be a 5, but they might be a 4, right? Bottom little hand here, left hand corner, they are going to be put on a PIP, or performance improvement plan, or receive additional training, or if it's a continuous thing, they might no longer be with the organization after continued coaching and mentoring. Organizations, workplace changes that provide a context for studying management. So, why would you want to study management? Focus on valuing human capital, demise of command and control. Remember, I said that a little bit earlier, the days of the 9 to 5 and the authoritarian boss are history. The command and control aspect are gone. People don't like that, and they want to learn different ways to manage, because it seems like the go-to is, if you're brand new in the world of management, it seems to be command and control, because you're getting your footing in. But people who have gone through these kind of classes and understand the different manager styles and different hats that a manager wears will refrain from command and control. Emphasis on teamwork, prominence of technology, importance of networking, new workforce expectations, and priorities on sustainability. So let's look at managers here. Importance of human resources and managers. People are not costs to be controlled. It's very important to remember that. High-performing organizations treat people as valuable strategic assets. So what is a manager? A manager directly supports, activates, and is responsible for the work of others. The people who managers help are the ones whose tasks represent the real work of the organization. So if you're ever tasked with the difference between a leader and a manager, you will always, one way to think of it is a leader is, they are the ones who set forth the strategic plan. They are the visionaries within organizations. They're usually in the C-suite. That's when they're usually in the C-suite. That doesn't necessarily mean that a leader has to be a high level in the hierarchy. But what managers do is they implement, they provide assistance to meet the objectives of the strategic plan set forth by the leaders. So they're in charge of the day-to-day activities of the subordinates who are doing the day-to-day work, right? They're the people who manage the organization and make sure XYZ is done, and production numbers are being hit, or calls are being connected, or in education, school, students are graduating. There's different types of managers. There's the board of directors, and they make sure the organizations run right. They have the top managers are responsible for the performance of its organization as a whole, or for one of its major parts. The middle managers oversee large departments of divisions. The team leaders supervise non-managerial workers. So what we are seeing, there's a new trend that's coming out where organizations are becoming flatter, meaning that the span of control of managers is getting larger. The point being here is team leaders in this slide are going to be non-existent one day. And they're just going to organizations are going to hire more competent middle managers and have larger teams, larger span of control, larger oversight, and just hire. The goal is going to be to hire better fit and better employees at that front rung non-managerial workers, so that the span of control can still be maintained at high levels, but productivity will not take a dip. Okay, so again, we're at the beginning stages of, I believe, losing front level managers. Middle managers are soon going to be considered frontline managers. Again, management levels in a typical business or nonprofit, you have the typical hierarchy. You guys can go through this on your own. Types of managers, there's line managers, staff managers, functional managers, general managers, and administrators. A lot of different managers. Line managers, of course, are going to be the front line. Staff managers, technical expertise. Functional managers, they're going to be responsible for a single area of activity. General managers are more complex units. and include many functional areas and administrators work in public and nonprofit organizations. Managerial performance accountability is the requirement to show performance results to a supervisor. Effective managers help others achieve high performance and satisfaction at work. So think of a manager that you've worked with in the past. Were they effective and did they help you get to the next level? Did they have an individual development plan for you? Did they help you set those goals so that you could reach that next level in your career? If they didn't, then they really weren't doing their job. They might have been making sure that making sure the team is working well, and they might be meeting their numbers, objectives. But again, the goal of a manager really is to help their team identify and help potential leaders and managers and high performers to move up within the organization. So, quality of work life, QWL, is an indicator of overall quality of human experiences in the workplace. A lot of people you don't hear about the quality of work life, you hear about the work-life balance a lot these days. I guess it might be different in different areas. But what are QWL indicators? So we have respect. Expectations that you respect your employees. Employers are going to want fair pay. Fair, they're not going to stay on the job. Safe working conditions, opportunities to learn and use new skills, room to grow and progress in career, and protection of individual rights. If you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this is basically the first two levels. And as managers, we need to really make sure and understand and respect those two levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and really pay attention to, our subordinates and making sure that they are growing in the way that they need to grow. Now, just keep in mind here as well that some of them don't want to grow, and that's okay. Okay, but we need to really understand and look out and do the scan on our team and make sure that the people who want to learn are learning. Otherwise, they're going to leave. Okay, and we don't want high performers to leave. The organization as an upside-down pyramid. A lot of people call this servant leadership. And this is a manager's job is to support worker efforts. Best managers are known for helping and supporting customers at the top, served by workers who are supported by managers. So if you're familiar with Greenleaf's work on servant leadership, this would be exactly the pyramid, just not referenced here in this text. So managers achieve high performance for their organization by best utilizing its human and material resources. Management is, what is it? It's the process of planning, organizing, leading, and controlling the use of resources to accomplish performance goals. And all managers are responsible for all four functions. Now, if you've taken management before, probably in your undergrad or graduate, the four functions of management will be into you. Looking at planning, organizing, leading, and controlling, and you might have looked at case studies as well concerning that. But again, as managers, we need to understand the plan. These four functions, and these functions are carried on continually. Here's a nice little chart looking at what these four functions are. Again, planning is setting performance objectives and deciding how to achieve them. Let me use the example of opening up a restaurant. If we're going to be planning, we need to know what kind of objectives we're looking to make. Are we looking to make a profit right off the bat? Are we looking to provide excellent food? Have an ambiance? What is our objective within a restaurant setting? Next is going to be organizing. That's arranging tasks, people, and other resources to accomplish the work. Keeping consistent with the restaurant theme, organizing the tasks, making sure that you have the front of the house, back of the house, making sure that you have the correct menu, the correct computer system, up to date, that people can do to accomplish the work. Leading, inspiring people to work hard to achieve high performance. Again, strategic planning, strategic decision making, really being that motivator, and then controlling performance, measuring, and taking action to ensure desired results. PMS, performance management systems, are utilized for controlling. Another aspect of controlling is power, and managers can look at. There's a lot of different types of powers. The two types that I like to discuss are personal power, positional power. As managers, positional power is based on obviously your title, where you're at, and you really need to make sure that you're not abusing that to get the desired results. And personal power, best friends, providing favors, stuff like that. So controlling your team, making sure your performance is well, and controlling your team. Alright, and so again, we just went through this, but the process of setting objectives and determining what actions should be taken to accomplish them. Organization here, again, is the process of assigning tasks, allocating resources, and coordinating work activities. Leading, the process of arousing people's enthusiasm to work hard and direct their efforts to achieve goals. And controlling, again, the process of measuring work performance and taking action to ensure desired results. Now, Mintzberg is a seminal leader in the world of management, and so he has put together 10 managerial roles. We have the interpersonal role, informational role, decisional role. Let's go back. And then what you can do is you can go through these as well, but the 10 are listed in the bullets. Okay. Characteristics of managerial work. Now, are these myths or are these facts, right? Characteristics of managerial work. You're going to work long hours. Maybe, maybe not. Intense pace, fragmented and varied tasks. That's true. Many communication media. Absolutely. Filled with interpersonal relationships. Yes. So again, it's all dependent on your organization. But I mean, that's a very these are just very high-level characteristics of managerial work. Just interesting here that they would put long hours and intense pace. I'm a big component of time management, being able to get your work done within the structured amount of time. And if you can't, look at your resources. But again, I guess they're looking at more of types of industries where they do work 12, 14-hour days. The stereotypical movie managers, right? Managerial agendas and networks. Agenda setting, develop action priorities for accomplishing goals and plans. Again, like I stated before, the difference between a leader and a manager is a manager sets those actions. They set up a plan to attack the objectives to make sure that they achieve those objectives. Networking, the process of creating positive relationships with people who can help advance agendas. And social capital, capacity to get things done with help. pretty self-explanatory there. Learning how to manage. Let's bring these up. Learning the change in a behavior that results from experience. Lifelong learning, the process of continually learning from daily experiences and opportunities. I think that if you're in this DBA program, you are a lifelong learner. Once you finish this program, you will be even more psyched to continue to learn, and to continue to research and provide discussion and provide new models. So it's a lot of fun. And these are very common. The CAT's essential managerial skills. Lower level managers are really into conceptual skills, the ability to think analytically and achieve integrated problem solving. Top level managers. Human skills are middle managers. The ability to work well in cooperation with other people and emotional intelligence. And technical skills, the ability to apply expertise and perform special tasks with efficiency. Lower level managers are going to be more of the technical. Top level managers are going to be more of the conceptual. Alright, so that takes us through this presentation this week. This was chapter 1. Please be sure that you do read the rest of the chapters. And like I stated, I'm going to provide a lecture. I'm going to post it within each week. It's going to be one of the chapters. We'll go through it. And if you do have any questions, let me know. I'm here to help you out. All right? Otherwise, we will talk with you soon. Look forward to working with you.